For centuries, the Korean peninsula stood as a single unified state, maintaining deep cultural and diplomatic ties with neighboring China. But by the late 19th century, a rapidly industrializing Japanese empire began looking across the Korea Strait, eager to expand its own regional influence. In 1876, Japan forced a diplomatic wedge into the peninsula. Following a naval clash known as the Battle of Gongwa, Japanese warships anchored off the coast to pressure the Korean government into signing a new treaty. The agreement required Korea to open 3 separate ports for Japanese trade. It also granted Japanese nationals extraterritorial rights, meaning they were immune to local Korean laws. Imperial expansion rarely starts with a massive infantry invasion. It starts exactly like this, with a lopsided economic agreement designed to quietly compromise a nation's sovereignty. 18 years later, the Japanese government found an excuse to send troops inland. When a domestic uprising called the Donghak Peasant Revolution broke out in 1894, Korea asked China for military support to quell it. Japan used this deployment as a pretext to send its own armed forces. This direct confrontation sparked the First Sino-Japanese War. Japan secured a decisive victory, severing Korea's historical ties to China and removing its primary foreign ally. This portrait shows Queen Min of Korea. As a vocal opponent of Japanese expansion, she actively sought out other international alliances to protect the state. In 1895, Japanese agents assassinated her. A decade later, Japan defeated the Russian Empire in the Russo-Japanese War, eliminating the last major regional competitor. With the Chinese and Russian militaries pushed out of the peninsula and internal opposition violently silenced, Korea was left entirely alone against an expanding empire. In 1905, Japan introduced the Ulsa Treaty. This agreement stripped Korea of its right to conduct independent foreign policy, officially downgrading the autonomous nation to a Japanese protectorate. As this diagram illustrates, the treaty mandated a near-total dismantling of the Korean military. The army's manpower was slashed from 20,000 soldiers down to just 1,000, and all rural garrisons were completely abandoned. This is a photograph of the Second Peace Conference in The Hague. Emperor Gojong secretly dispatched envoys to this exact assembly in 1907, hoping to convince the international delegates to intervene on Korea's behalf. This is Emperor Gojong in his full military uniform. When Japanese officials discovered his diplomatic back-channeling, they forced him to abdicate the throne. They replaced him with a puppet ruler and handed total authority over government appointments to a Japanese resident general. Without an army to mount a defense, or the diplomatic rights to ask for outside help, the Korean government ceased to function as an independent state. It had become a hostage. The final bureaucratic blow arrived in August 1910 with the Japan-Korea Annexation Treaty. Japan officially absorbed the peninsula, immediately establishing a brutal system of police rule where hundreds of political dissenters were imprisoned and tortured in the very first year. This archival photograph shows a Korean farmer carrying a massive load of grass for the market. Under new colonial land reforms, vast tracts of property were handed over to incoming Japanese settlers. Multitudes of rural Koreans were forced into grueling tenant farming on land their families had previously owned. What you see here is a massive Shinto torii gate built in Korea. The empire actively suppressed the Korean language in schools, and eventually mandated that the local population worship at these Japanese shrines. This systematic assimilation even targeted personal identity. The colonial government implemented a policy pressuring Koreans to adopt Japanese surnames. Those who refused found themselves entirely cut off from the bureaucracy, losing access to basic services like mail delivery. Japan integrated these political, economic, and social controls to dismantle the concept of Korea as a distinct people, aiming to fully absorb the population into the empire's own history. This image captures Korean women marching in traditional dress during the spring of 1919. That year, roughly 2 million citizens organized thousands of nationwide protests known as the March First movement to demand immediate independence. This is the original Proclamation of Independence. The movement began when 33 cultural and religious leaders drafted, signed, and publicly read this exact document in Seoul. Colonial authorities responded with overwhelming force, killing an estimated 7,500 protesters and arresting tens of thousands more. Yet the uprising successfully led to the creation of the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea in exile. This photograph shows a military checkpoint at the 38th parallel. When the empire fell at the end of World War II, Japanese dominance ended. However, the liberating Allied forces divided the peninsula into Soviet and American zones, ending the era of a single, unified Korea. The Imperial blueprint sought to dismantle the Korean identity through 40 years of systematic political and cultural pressure. Today, with their language, history, and culture intact, it is clear that effort failed.